What's going on, guys? I'm Steve. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. If it's your first time stopping by the channel, hit that subscribe button. Trust me, you won't regret it. If you're a returning subscriber, as always, guys, welcome back, and I do appreciate the support. Guys, I want to talk about a story I covered last year and 6 weeks ago when this piece of crap, pictured up here, got sentenced. This guy right here, ladies and gentlemen, is Robert Fisher, age 34. This guy was sentenced 6 weeks ago for taking the life of this little baby right here, this sweet child, Josephine Cunningham. She was 3 years old. This man took her life. And he took her life in one of the most vicious ways out there. Anyway, guys, I'm gonna let the news tell you about it, because I mean it's very upsetting to even talk about. But there's a bright side on this. This guy, in the last time I covered this story 6 weeks ago, was sentenced to go to prison. He was sentenced to 20 years to life behind bars for taking the life of this little girl. News has just recently came out that he was killed in prison. You shouldn't celebrate when people die, but so those that got it coming, got it coming. And I can't say the least. I feel bad for this. Take a look at the story.
Brand new at 5, Rensselaer police say they are not surprised that Robert Fisher died at the Elmira Correctional Facility this week.
That breaking update was first on 13 last night. Fisher only spent a few weeks behind bars after he was just convicted of murdering and raping little Josephina Cunningham. She was just 3 years old.
News Channel 13's Tessa Bentulin is now here live with us to share what police told her today. Tessa.
Hi, Rachel and Steve. Well, the Rensselaer police chief says they were informed about Fisher's death, but they're in the dark when it comes to how Fisher died. That's being investigated by the Department of Corrections and Community Services. Police Chief Warren Famigletti says it's a difficult situation for everybody involved because of the trauma this horrific death has for the family and the investigators who worked closely on this case. Hearing about Fisher's death brings that trauma back for so many. Fisher's death comes 6 weeks after he was just sentenced to 20 years to life in prison for Josephina Cunningham's death. He pled guilty to raping and killing little Josephina here on your screen in Rensselaer in July 2023. The details of Josephina's attack are horrific. In court, we learned Fisher drugged Josephina before raping her, then tried to cover it up, and what he'd done by taking Clorox wipes and scrubbing her face. He scrubbed her face so hard that he burned the pigment right off her face. Chief Famigletti says he wants to make sure everyone knows of the terrible things Fisher did to Josephina.
Did you expect this death to come?
We didn't not expect it, right? It's a horrific crime. Everybody knows what he did. So we didn't expect him to have a smooth time in prison.
Coming up live at 6 o'clock, the conversation a Rensselaer police investigator had with Josephina's father after learning about Fisher's death. Rachel and Steve.
It's just an awful story, Tessa. Thank you so much.
The police who arrested him are talking about the sudden death of Robert Fisher in prison. We broke that news last night. Fisher is the 34-year-old man police called a monster. He raped, murdered, and then tried to cover up what he did to little Josephina Cunningham.
She was just 3 years old. New at 6 now, one of the officers who worked closely on this case tells us about his conversation with Josephina's father shortly after finding out Robert Fisher is dead. Let's go to Tessa Bentulin live here right now in the studio with us. Tessa, good evening.
Hi, good evening, Sabrina and Mark. I had the chance to interview Detective Sergeant Michael Diso with Rensselaer Police. He says Josephina's father wants to move on. Diso says Fisher's death makes the father relive that terrible attack on his young daughter. Josephina died in July 2023 in Rensselaer at the hands of Fisher. This is Josephina on your screen. Fisher is accused of raping her while she was alive and awake. Fisher just began a 20 years to life in prison sentence. He was serving his time at Elmira Correctional Facility. Detective Sergeant Diso was one of the first handful of officers that responded the day Josephina died. He's had many conversations with Josephina's father.
And what was that exchange like?
It was tough because there's nothing going to bring his daughter back, and you know, although he's no longer paying for this person to be in prison to pay for his meals and his lodging, it's not going to bring his daughter back. He's still without his daughter, and it's still bringing it up over and over again.
I also got to catch up with Josephina's older brother, Jaquan Stewart. He says his sweet and smart little sister, who loved Baby Shark, deserved to grow up and live a full life. Stewart tells us what he and his mother thought about Fisher's death.
My mom was very shocked, and she's relieved. You know, she's dead. She's happy that she's dead. A lot of people are happy that he's dead. I was very shocked because I really wanted a death penalty, and I was hoping he can serve his life sentence 20 years.
Rensselaer police say they do not know yet how Fisher died. Fisher's death is being investigated by state coroners and medical examiners. Mark and Sabrina.
That's the news, and my reaction is good. I wish I got a chance to witness it, no matter how brutal it was, because it doesn't match the brutality he put on the body, mind, and heart of that little girl at 3 years old. She don't know nothing about nothing except being happy, and you took that from her. For no reason. A 3-year-old girl had you so sexually excited that you did that to her. Now, guys, you've seen what they said he did. Supposedly he gave her prescription medication to drug her, and then he violated her as if she was a grown woman at 3 years old, body not even developed. Man, I seen this video. When I first seen this story, man, I could only think about the family. You know what I'm saying? They had just had the father speak. He said, man, he just want to put it behind him. But I mean, still, a part of him and the mother of Josephina is something missing. When you look in the face of people that have lost somebody, there's always an empty feeling you see, whether they smiling or not, because something that touched their lives so much has been taken away from them. And it doesn't get any worse than this. She was 3 years old, y'all. 3 years old. I still can remember my daughter was 3 years old. Didn't have a guilty bone in her body or any type of negative at anything. Preserving her happiness and her state of just enjoying herself as a young child was paramount to me and everybody else that was around her. For this guy to come and do this, man, is unacceptable. Beyond unacceptable. He dropped his head when they gave him 20 to life. I'd have took him to the gallows immediately. If it was up to me. Or turned him over to the father. That's foul, you do that. Well, this dumbass is dead, so I guess, it is what it is. But I'm more than sure that the family wish they could have got him first. I'll fish around to see if I find anything else about the story, but just the way he did her, man. He put bleach on her face and scrubbed her till her fucking pigment came off. What's messing with that? I didn't know you could do that. She was awake the whole time he violated her. I'm done. Stock Market Stevens. I can't even talk. I'll see you in the next video. Take care, man.